It feels like a minute is up. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session this evening. There's, as always, lots of exciting and good stuff lined up. So can everyone see my screen before I blabber?
Yes, we can.
Yep. So we do have some interesting topics today, thanks to Anna and thanks to Mike, who will be talking today. Anna is going to talk about employee experience reimagined. We will also have a BC integration discussion as well. And the panel speakers, October updates, there's nothing on that apart from just, a few announcements, and I will bring you up to speed with what's happening next month. And as always, we do call out for speakers. There is so many opportunities, and as always, we respond to all your requests in terms of the topics that you would want us to talk about. There are some that we've spoken about, and as we highlight some that we still require some speakers from. And just to highlight that, even though we've got a couple of places like D365 Finance, Supply Chain, HR, or we've got specific areas where we might be looking for people, if there's any other topics in any of these other areas that you would be interested in talking about, please let us know, alongside telling us what you would like us to bring to the platform as well. So I'm going to hand you all across to lovely Anna. Anna, over to you. You can just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then get started.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, hello, everyone. I'm the only one with my camera on. I might disable later. But thank you very much for being here. Honestly, this is a session that I've never presented before, and I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. Before starting, I want to introduce myself. I'm Ana. I'm Ana Ines Surrutia. I'm a psychologist, and I've been working with Dynamics HR for a while. I'm an MVP, and if you need anything related to HR, just let me know. So with all this said, I will share my screen in a second and start sharing. Yes. Second, here we go. Yes. Okay, great. So what I have to share with you today is a quick session around employee experience reimagined. We've been listening to a few changes within Dynamics HR and all the human resources ecosystem around how to manage or how to take care of people. And I realized that even when I'm really passionate about HR, sometimes we have some gaps. So I wanted to get a wider vision around employee experience. So this is why I built the session that I also submitted to Scottish Summit. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. So this is me. This picture is really old. It's from when I was living back in Peru for like a year ago. A lot has changed since then. My hair, everything has changed. But I'm an MVP, as I already told you. I consider myself very humble. I'm an HR champion. I do love HR. I've been working in HR departments most of my career, and because I landed in a Microsoft partner, I was able to transition to operations. And that made me really happy because I had the chance to change, and now being here in Spain and exchanging with you all from all over the world. So that's me. If you want to look for me on LinkedIn or Twitter, it's my name as it is in the main screen. So first thing first, Dynamics 365 HR is my main focus and in the area I love. I'm really passionate about this solution. I've been working with it for a while. I work with one of the biggest partners that I think it's one of the best partners doing Dynamics HR with For Vision in the Netherlands, and now I'm a practice lead in Accenture here in Spain. But that's my focus. That's what I'm always doing, and I really like the way that Dynamics HR has positioned employee experience, because it helped us to maintain the focus of human resources in employee experience and how they feel. So for those who doesn't know Dynamics HR, I think you all know that, but it's a solution based for human resources that helps us to go through all that life cycle for employees in the company, including employees, managers, and HR pros. It's a solution that for people that is used to work in HR, it's very nice to use because they have all in one place, in one device, and in any device, I'm sorry, and in any moment that they want to access the information. One of the things that I thought about when I was building the session was about how Dynamics HR tries to land employee experience. And it's true that it has a lot of benefits, but it also has some gaps. So that's what we're going to cover like at the end of the session. So as you can see, you can start with employees. You have lots of things to for them, like the jobs and positions on the employee profile. And then you have some other topics related to the manager, where the manager can make changes or update information or take any decision based on the insights that the employees can give them. And then, of course, HR pros are the people, the core people that's going to use the solution. So this is a Microsoft picture, and it's nice because it gathers all the processes related to people or workforce in one solution. But it's true that it's not complete. So what I wanted to show you is this very easy space where it looks very simple, but it's a space where employees are able to log in and see how they are doing, access requests, and of course the information around their position in the company, their teams, also the balances for leave, for example, and so on. And it gives them the chance to not only not only see the information, but manage as well. And I think that the combination between both of them, between being owner of their own data, is very good, because they can own their own processes and nothing depends on HR. So what you're seeing in my main screen, if you don't, I don't know if I have it opened. It might be worthy to go and open it for a second. Let me open that. So employee self-service is something that I'm really passionate about, and tomorrow in the company I'm working for, we are announcing the internal use of this specifically for a time of request and some other things. And I do think it sounds and it looks very simple, but for people that work with HR, hold on. I'm sorry, there's someone on mute. Okay, great. So it looks very simple, and it may be kind of silly, but we have lots of information for the employee record here. So we don't only have like the time of balances, and the employees are able to submit some requests and see all the balances they have for the specific leave type. They are also able to see all the information around, for example, if they had any certificate or any next review, if the skills that they have and the level that the skills are on. And for example, manage all the attachments. We don't depend anymore on HR to upload or manage attachments. We are able as employees to do this by ourselves. And we have this this additional information bar where we can find information and we can add links to it. That's very good. So we can personalize a bit more around the experience. And one thing that is very cool that I did a video a few days ago is that we have the opportunity to, sorry, it's not like this, but we have the opportunity to add an app. So for example, if we want to add an app, we just select this here and we can add a Power App or a website. I will add a website because I don't have anything opened. But for example, if you have any specific thing that you want to add to your employee self-service workspace, you are able to do that. And it's another tab, and the web will load inside the employee self-service. So that's very good. We're using that internally in Axasher, and I think it's very good because it helps you personalize a bit more around employee experience. So this is a bit about how employee self-service workspace works. And also, of course, we are able to edit all our personal details without depending on HR. So I go back to the presentation. There you go. And of course, this is a very nice thing. This is a very helpful thing for us as employees or for HR or for everyone working for a company. Even for contractors, it's a good thing because they're able to manage their own information. But of course, there are lots of remaining places where we need to dive deeper. And I think that during the pandemic, I don't know what's coming next. I think that during the pandemic, Microsoft realized that there were some gaps and they needed to cover that. And fortunately, we have a few solutions that are gonna be able to cover this. So we have, of course, the gap of learning. Inside Dynamics Human Resources, we do have a module that's called Learning, but this module is only designed or developed for managing like logistics on learning, like who's the instructor, the questionnaires added to the different courses, but not the content. So if we implement Dynamics HR, like a few months ago, we will need to go out and find a partner for LMS. But the thing is that now on, and we're gonna dive into that in a while, we have a Microsoft solution inside the ecosystem that is very nice, and we can keep working inside Microsoft environment. We also have another thing that's about care. Like HR doesn't really have any analysis around how people is doing, if everyone's fine, or if they need anything. It's more like a core business solution. And the third point that I think it was missing is collaboration, because it was, as you can see, there's a helicopter. As you can see, HR can work with the teammates, of course, with everyone around HR departments. And you also saw that we have our employee self-service or manager self-service, but there's no relationship, there's no relation between colleagues working together. We do have that in other apps, and that's very good, but it was missing inside Dynamics HR. So thanks to all these gaps that you use to cover with partner solutions or with ad hoc solutions, Microsoft realized the need that we had for new solutions. So thank God we created some other, well, thanks to that they created some apps that we're gonna see in a while. But one of the things that improved, that helps us to have a more connected experience around HR was one of the things that they've done that I think is one of the biggest things, and it opens up a bit more of the universe that's going to come. It's around how Dynamics HR it's connected with Teams and how we can make the experience better. So after going through Dynamics HR and finding the need to link HR with Microsoft Teams, we have a very nice solution, I think, that is the application around Dynamics HR and Teams. I really like this. I think it's a very good one. To be honest, in Spanish, it doesn't work that much. It does work very well in English, but in Spanish, it's not that good because if you send a message, it won't understand you. But yeah, I think it's very good. As you can see here in my screen, it's kind of tiny, but I'm sending some text. The solution is replying me back around what do I want to do. I'm asking for my I don't think this. There you go. It's not understanding. Okay, so what I'm showing you right now is that I'm asking for some balances that the machine is not understanding me because it's in Spanish, but as you can see in the top, we have some balances and the person is able to select the balance and submit time off. That is very good. And the manager will receive a notification in one of these cards and is able to approve or deny the request from Teams, and that is very good because they can ask for some requests and they can approve or not that request as well without logging out or going through different systems. So the only thing that the managers can't do inside the team app for HR is to delegate the request. They can do that in HR, but not here in Microsoft Teams. So this was for me, like, I think it was the start of something new, because after this, when I saw this application, I thought about how good it could be to start thinking about solutions for HR inside Microsoft Teams. And luckily, we had this amazing solution that's gonna come and save my life and everyone around HR. So of course we have Viva. I think you already know that. We have some great people around the community talking about it. I'm not an expert. I hope I can dive deeper into that, but I think it's gonna be a great solution. And of course, it's Viva, but it's powered by Teams because all the experience is delivered by Teams. And this is gonna finally helps us reimagine employee experience because it will provide us and it will cover all the gaps that we had with our previous alone HR. So we do have four apps. I think as of now we have 4, but in a while we're going to have much more for Viva, so it's going to grow very fast. And yeah, we have one that is this one. If you want to download it into your Teams, you can install it. It's very simple. You can find like the 3 dots. You you put Insights, and it's going to appear this application. It's very nice. It's kind of annoying because if you start like logging in how you feel, every day is going to remind you to log in how you're feeling. So I don't open much my my own domain, my Teams for my own domain. So every time I open it, I have like 7 or 8 notifications. That's the only thing that I don't like. But despite that, it's very nice because it helps you like relax if you are about to start a meeting. I often have lots of issues while starting meetings, before starting a meeting. So I usually try to have one of these guided meditations that are very good. And of course, you can do that. All the things that we had around and spread all over different solutions, you have it all in one. Like, for example, send praise or also your focus time and stuff like that. Everything it's gathered in Insights. This is something that you can try, you can test, and I will give it a try if I were you because it's kind of good. This is one of the things that I like. And then, well, this looks awful, I'm sorry. But we also have Viva Learning. Viva Learning, I think it's going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to have in a while because Viva Learning will help us to deliver content inside our organization within Microsoft Teams. So the thing is that we used to have courses spread in the different solutions that they were available. And now we have like one place where we can gather courses from different pages. For example, we can add, I know that Harvard University it's part of the Viva Learning, LinkedIn, of course, and some other places where you can find courses. Well, Microsoft Learn, of course, as well. And all that is going to be available in the Viva Learning app within Teams. And you can not only like do a course, you can also recommend it to a friend. Your boss can assign courses to you, and you can like bookmark courses for attending later, and so on. It's going to be very nice, and it's going to be kind of tailored for you, because it's not that open as logging into LinkedIn Learning and find everything. Your boss is going to recommend you content, and you can bookmark that, and if you like it or not, you can send it to your friends and so on. So it's going to be quite good. I think so. There are 4 Viva solutions. This is my favorite one, I think. So yeah, that's learning. And then we have Viva Topics. This is a solution that will help us to, it's more around the collaboration gap that we discussed before. It's going to help us to like gather all the information around certain topics within like in a certain place. So we're going to have, for example, let's imagine that we run a project like a year ago or so, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and we deliver a project and we finish that, and we want to know where, for example, is like the presentations we made, the team that was part of that project, and for example, all the project information, and also the documentation and everything about that. The meetings and so on, we can find that in Viva Topics. It's kind of simple. It looks very, very like even stupid, but if I ask you maybe to find a document around a project that you executed a few years ago, it might be like horrible to find out where is all that. So this is kind of a nice ways to manage knowledge, and I think it's going to be good. I honestly, I sometimes I struggle to find like for onboarding purposes, for example, it's very good. So if I join a company and start working for a client or a customer, and I want to know what happened in the past with that project that I'm taking on, I want to know a bit more. And if I have no idea, it's going to be kind of going to be annoying asking everyone. So if I have this, and if this is good and well organized, it's going to help me a lot. So this is around Viva Topics. And the last one that we have, it's also looking awful, I'm sorry, but this is Viva Connections. And I think, and this is my personal opinion, that this will be how an internet worked before, like that kind of web page, the internal web page that we had for our it's not collaboration, but it's our sense of community within a company, like trying to be connected, trying to understand who is who, and try to see people without like despite work, like staying on track of yeah, how's everyone doing, and trying to stay connected outside work topics. So connections will help us to be more, of course, connected with people around our workspace, but not related to work, more like in the sense of building culture and yeah, trying to stay connected internally. So and the thing that's funny about these 4 solutions is that they were announced during the pandemic by Satya, and I think they're going to be like, they're investing a lot of money and a lot of efforts in it, and I'm pretty hopefully we will have a good landing, and we will see this grow and make better. I'm afraid about how fast is growing all this. I'm really like curious to see where it lands, but I think it's going to be a good solution for us all. And of course, it's part of Microsoft Teams, and we are all together now speaking through Teams. So this will help us. And this is one of the things that I'm really curious about. I really expect Dynamics HR to start like talking a bit more with Viva and teams and trying to see how the full life cycle with this integrations around the gaps that we discussed are going to be covered. But to be honest, we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen. And I am kind of in between nervous, anxious, angry, happy. I don't know how to feel around this. But I'm really looking forward because I think that these three solutions, of course, and there's much more, will help us to deliver an employee experience reimagined. So with all that said, and I think that I speak really fast and a lot, that's my session. I hope you like it. It's very level 100, but yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, let me know. That's it.
Wow, Anna, that was amazing. There is a lot there. I really like the part about the Viva and the external connections, and I could see, especially during the time of virtual working during COVID, and I can see how that would build. So that's really for me. And I also liked the workspace as well. I think that's like a huge improvement. But I am going to open to the floor. I can see there's a hand up. Trisha.
Hi, sorry, that was really, really, really great. Quick question. So years ago, of course, Microsoft released Yammer as the way for employees to keep engaged. Then they released like Teams as the different option, but they've still got Yammer. Now we've got Viva. Like, is it, you know where I'm going with this.
Confused.com.
What's your opinion on what exactly is the future? Is it this a temporary stop for Microsoft, or should we be investing in Viva? Sorry.
No, that's all right. That's a fair question. I honestly think that they are investing a lot of money in Viva, and it's having much more attention than human resources, much more. I don't really know. I want to believe that the combination is going to be the power solution, but to be honest, I think that Viva is going to kind of win.
Does Viva allow integration into other environments?
I'm not sure. That's a very good question.
Because I want to, like, for example, you know how your employees are feeling, training stuff. It would be valuable to take that information and like even pull information in from different systems, like guides, for example, like mixed reality guides after they've completed certain sets of stuff. Right now, you can push that into, I think you can push that into Dynamics HR, but if somebody's not using Dynamics HR and they're using Viva, then I don't know. I just thought it would be really, really cool if we could do something.
That's a very good question. I will have a meeting in a few weeks with Viva team, and I think that's going to be my opening question.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Is there anybody else with questions on the chat? There isn't anything. But everyone's saying very good, Anna, so really pleased. Thank you so much, Anna. And over to you, Mike. And similarly, if you just give an intro of yourself, I believe you're already a presenter. Yep, fantastic.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this great big world. Welcome to my little presentation. So tonight we're going to be talking about integration, testing, really, using a tool that is quite widely used, which I'd never known about until quite recently, a tool called Postman. But of course, I am a Microsoft Dynamics 365 consultant. I have been for a number of years. I was in the good old bad days in South Africa for the beginning part of my life. I came to England in 2001. And at the age of, I can't tell you that, but at the ripe old age, I changed from being a design engineer in the motor industry to becoming an IT manager, and that led to my career, which began in Microsoft Dynamics well, it was called NAV in those days, and of course now it's 365, and it consumes a lot of my time, all of my time, in fact. But my present position will change, and very shortly I will be taking up a post as a solutions architect. So I would like to share some of my experiences with customers over the past 20 years in various stages of the projects. You get asked to do things as a consultant, which are most of the time functional. But as we all know, as time progresses, we start getting asked to do things that are a little bit more technical than functional. And this process that I'm about to show you now does have some technical bits to it, but there is also a functional side to it. So you find a lot of developers are very good at writing code. It's changing slightly, but a lot of times the guys are very good at writing code, but not so good on the functional side. Obviously, there's a lot to learn, and you can't know everything about everything. It's impossible. So we'll try and share with each other our skill sets and what we've learned. And so the purpose of this demonstration is to do exactly that. So on a project that I was on quite recently, we had an occasion to integrate between a customer's on-site environment or on-site program that they created themselves with Dynamics Business Central. They didn't want to lose all of their functionality, so they kept the warehouse part of their design, and all of the rest came into BC. So obviously there was now this integration between what they called an extranet and BC. Obviously, when you run these things. But long story short, I had to be able to test this integration as if I was the external application. So can I get information from BC if I was sending a query or an API request to BC for certain things? So let's get on with the show, and I'll just talk you through the topics that I'm going to cover. Hopefully not too technical. I'll try and keep it as simple as possible, because that's me. I like things nice and straightforward. So tonight, what I'd like to cover is something called OAuth 2. That's an authentication method like Windows login, similar sort of thing. And something called APIs in Business Central. And how we do these things is divided into 3 parts. We use Azure. We also use the tool Postman. And lastly, I'll do a little demonstration of what I'm demonstrating to you tonight. So first of all, as a small introduction, what is Postman really? So Postman is an application. They call it an API client that makes it easy for developers and also functional people, who are not technical, to test APIs before they actually go live. So what is an API then? So the real name is Application Program Interface. It doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, okay, but the key word in this whole long technical description is interface. So it is a connection between one working entity and another. So there'll be the connection between your telephone, for example, your mobile, and Twitter. So how does it connect to Twitter? There's an API that connects them. How do you connect to Facebook? There's an API that does that. How do you connect to Spotify? The API that does that. So APIs are used in our everyday operations, in our everyday walk of life, but we never ever actually we don't actually need to know how these things work. They just work. So similarly, let's talk about APIs in Business Central, just so that you have an understanding of what an API is in BC. So, but when I say BC, I mean Business Central. Recently, Microsoft have released the latest version of Business Central, right, which is going on right now in Milan, in Italy. And people lucky enough to be on that particular conference will get all of the latest updates and the latest and greatest what's coming in Business Central for the next couple of years. One of the things that is being deprecated or taken away is something called a web service access keys. So this is the normal way in which external entities or external apps connect to BC. So if you're connecting CRM with or Dynamics 365 as it's known now, CE to BC, you would use a web service. So this whole way of securing the environment to allow one app to connect to another app is changing. And the way they're going to change it is they're going to use something called OAuth 2, which is a way of or a workflow that enables two systems to talk to each other without having to use a password. So you don't have to. So when you connect Instagram with Facebook, when you do that process, it will come up on your phone. It'll say, do you want to allow this process to happen? And that's granting consent. That's what it's called. And it means that you are allowing one app to access your personal information on another app. This is a similar kind of thing that Microsoft have developed. It has been used for before, but the way they have improved it, and I'll just explain basically the process. It's a little bit technical, but I've got a little diagram here which helped me understand it, and hopefully it will help you understand it. So if we start at the web browser, and we take the web browser, a person comes to the web browser and requests access to a specific web app, which in this case is BC. You'll see as you run down, it navigates to the ball, which is a web app, and it'll say, can I have access? And it'll say, okay, I'll redirect you to Azure AD, and that is Azure Active Directory. This is an environment where all users that use Microsoft products have their accounts and permissions and roles and so on. And it'll come to this Azure ID, which will generate a pop-up, and it'll say, enter your credentials for Microsoft, and you'll put in your Microsoft credentials. You will then get a pop-up that says, do you accept? In other words, going back to Facebook and into Instagram, do you accept? Yes or no? You say yes, and when it says yes, it goes back to Azure and then goes all the way back and goes back to the web app and says the answer was yes. It validates the access token. This is just a piece of software that says this person has agreed, and it then returns back to the web browser and unlocks the web browser so that you can enter, or BC as it may be, or whatever it is that you're trying to enter into. This whole process is controlled by the API. It's an API environment that you're working in. And in BC, Microsoft has exposed certain entities which allow external software packages or external apps to access BC for certain information. So if you know BC, you'll know that basically the BC is divided into segments, much the same as F&O, where you've got a company, your finance, your sales, purchasing, and reporting. And these are the entities that have been exposed. These APIs are exposed to the external environment. And they will allow you to, for example, look at items and extract data about items. So Power BI would like to know how many items you have which cost more than $100 or pounds, whatever it is. So that is because BC now expose this item entity to the API from as an API, and you're able to access it. So we don't really need to know exactly how that all works technically, but these are the things that you can get information about using this process. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. That's one of my most favorite sayings. So let's do that. Let's get stuck in. So first thing, how do we actually create this option to be able to do that? So I'm going to switch across to Azure, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is that we're going to do. So from Azure, the first step that we need to do is we need to create an app. Okay, so we need to go to something called app registrations. So if you're not familiar with Azure, go to azure.com and log in with your a username. To do this operation, you will need admin, so you will need to own this environment or have admin rights from your administrator. Normally, this is something that you as a functional person will never do. It will be something that the admin would do. You say, I need to be able to use Postman. Can you set me up, please? And I will be the admin guy, and I'll come in. This is what I'll do. I'm just going to show you, even though you may never do it in your life, but I will show you so you at least know. First of all, if you come to Azure portal, you get this home page, right? And you don't know what you're looking for. So you can go, I'm looking for app registrations, REG. Similar, a very good search engine. And it'll open up app registrations. Now you'll see there's loads here. It's because I've done a lot of this stuff. So let's have a look at GTV music. Now, if you don't have one, of course, if you don't have an app registration, you can create a new one. And creating a new one is very simple. You just click create a new one. And I'll say, what do you want to call it? We want to call it demo of Postman. And then you come down and you'll be faced with a few options. So this is where you need to have a little bit of technical knowledge, but basically the first two are only the two that we worry about, because we're saying that this app will have to do with this single tenant. If you're an ISV, obviously, then you would use the next one. You create your own software. You want everybody in the world to be able to access it. You use the second one. The other two, we're not really interested in. And you simply click register. That's it. So we now have a demo Postman app. You'll notice one thing, a few things. One thing that you need to remember is this little number here, which is your application ID. You'll copy that and you'll pop it onto a notepad somewhere, if you have a notepad, and just paste it, because we'll come back to that later. One other thing you'll need is a redirect URL. And this one can be very simple. You can just add that redirect. We're going to be using a web portal, and we're going to use HTTPS. // and we're going to use Business Central. There are lots of other ways to do this. You can use your local machine, of course, as well, and that's at dynamics.com. Okay, fair enough. You select OK. So now we have a redirect URL. I would explain to you what that means, but honestly, we don't need to know. We just need to know that we need to finish this in. We need to fill this in. But as an administrator, I need to add a permission. And what permissions will I need to add? I'll need to say, I need to be able to access Dynamics 365 BC. As a delegated permission, I need to access permissions. So I'm giving this app permissions to access BC financials, and the permissions are read, write, all. So that's quite a lot. On the application permissions, I can say I need it to use the API. You can, of course, add as many permissions as you like. If you want to give all permissions, you can do that too. So you'll notice that once you've added all of these permissions, there are still some things that are not granted here. So one more step will allow you to grant admin rights. So this is the granting of admin consent that you would pick up when you do add integration of Facebook and Instagram. So, do you consent? Yes, I do. And very quickly, that is done. The final step is to create what's called a secret. This is basically just a piece of code that secures your environment. That means that nobody else in the world can get into your application unless they know the secret. It's very simple. You just write, so give it a name. What do I call it? Postman. And you have an option here to give an expiry date. So you can say 24 months, 6 months. I'll just leave it at 6 months for the purposes of this demonstration. And you click that. Very important top tip here. The minute you move away from this page, this value will be masked and you will never ever see it again in your entire life. So before you move away, you need to copy it to the clipboard. And again, we go back to here and we come down. And I'm just going to call it a secret so I don't get confused, because that happens very easily these days. And I have now a secret. So the few things that I have managed to do or that I have needed to do is to, first of all, copy the application ID. Let me just make sure that I've got everything. We've done the redirect. We have created a secret, and we have done our application permissions. So let's go back to our PowerPoint slide and just make sure that we are on the right track. And make sure we've done all the right things. So we've logged into Azure. We've searched for our app registrations. We've created and registered our app. We've given API permissions. We've granted consent. We've created our secret. And we've copied our application ID. What is the purpose of all of this? Okay, so the purpose of all of this is for us to be able to configure Postman. In order to configure Postman, there's certain information that you need, and like we've just been through Azure, all will be revealed in a second or two. So our next step is to go to Postman. And this step can be a little bit tricky. If you've not used Postman before, trust me, it's not the hardest software package in the world. It's quite easy to learn. I learned it in the middle of a project when I realized that we didn't have enough resources to do this process. Our dev guys were really snowed under. Our functional team were completely snowed under, including me. But because I have the techie brain or the will to do something that is technical, I went and downloaded Postman. So let me show you Postman, because it's quite an amazing little piece of kit. And yeah, I have the right one. Yes, voila. So Postman is available at postman.com, and you can download it. The tool can be shared with other people, so you can have this workspace shared. You can invite people to join your workspace. If you have a lot of work going on, you can ask other people to help you. But to all intents and purposes, this works on any device. It works on Android. It works on OS. On my iPhone, I can get to it. I can do all sorts of things anywhere, anytime, as long as you've got internet. How does it work? So to show you the basic steps, first of all, you need to go to your what is called workspaces. And in this area, you can create workspaces, create a new workspace. What does that mean, actually? So I've created a workspace here called GTV Music. And the reason I've done that is because I have BC, Business Central, and this is my customer. The customer is called GTV Music. And this is the live environment. It is a live functional installation of Business Central that belongs to me personally. So I can show you. I'm not bothered if you can see confidential data. There's nothing confidential here except customers. I can't show you that. But it is linked to Shopify. So using an app called Scapify, which is very good. And so I have certain information in here which related to things that are music. I'm a guitar player, and I have been playing guitar for many years, and I've worked with guys from Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and I've toured in Milan and all over the world. So this is my passion. This is something I'm used to doing. So I have a small online presence, which allows me to sell things that are guitar related. So we have all these items, lots of items, guitars, Gibson Les Pauls, some very nice Gibson Les Pauls. We have one here which was played by my friend Dennis Stratton in Iron Maiden many years ago. And that guitar I'll show you now. I'll filter by a description, and we'll just look for Les Paul. Let's see if it comes up. We should get something, I'm sure. I was thinking about it. So no, it's not that. Okay, so let's do something else. Do Iron Maiden. So it's a very interesting industry that we are working in. And I'm surprised that we don't have anything here called Iron Maiden. But anyway, just spin it around. Lots of stuff. Okay, it might be in there. So it might be in a different description. Anyway, never mind. Let's go back to Postman. The question is, how do I link Postman to BC? How am I able to say, pretend now, just pretend just this GTV Music is an external application that needs to get information from this environment. This application is just an application. So there might be somebody sitting in an office in America who would like to see what's going on, or maybe there's an application that requires information from this environment. The first thing that you need to do is you need to set up your authorizations. And the authorizations is what we've just been talking about before in BC. Remember, I said you could use something called a web service or a web access key. That has been deprecated now, and unfortunately, if you want to access BC using Postman, you need to use an authorization type called Auth2. And I've just sort of, hopefully that little explanation about Auth2 will basically give you some kind of understanding as to what this Auth2 is all about now. And you will see as we move down the fields, we are looking for an access token. That's the whole purpose of this exercise. So we give it a token name. We tell the system we want an authorization code. We tell the system there is a URL. This is exactly standard. It's standard on any application except for this value here. So this value here is your tenant key, and your tenant key is this one here. Okay, so these are things that you won't read about in books, or you'll find it very hard to find information, and it's not actually spelled out in black and white. It's kind of disguised in amongst all of the notes, but I'll tell you exactly where you can find it. So this value here goes into this value here. The rest is exactly the same on any other environment. Okay. The next one. So this is the access token URL. Okay. The next one is, sorry, this is the authorization URL. So you'll notice there the word here, authorize, okay? If we go to the next one down, which is the access token, you'll notice the word token here. And the value here is the same. And the rest of the URL is exactly the same. The client secret, the client secret comes from this value here that we generated in Azure. Now that we have that client secret, we are almost good to go. One further step is that we have to say, send, there are two options here, and we want just the basic auth header. Just another tip. If you get serious about using this workspace, instead of putting the client secret here, which I have now shown you, and if it goes onto YouTube, the whole world, they will know what the client secret is, and they will be able to stop the video and copy this and then go back and access my environment using Postman. So what I suggest you do is you create what is known as a variable. So in a variable, you will type in a word like and you'll put your client secret here. And so when you come to this environment, and instead of putting this value, you will put the word URL or client secret, probably better. So and so that's the value that you would put here instead of showing everybody what your client secret is. So after this demonstration, I will have to change that because, of course, the whole world will know. The final step is to get a new access token. It will come and ask you, can you log in, please, sir? And because I've done this before, it will do it and it will authenticate and say, okay, we're good to go.
Mike, sorry, it could be just me. I'm seeing a different screen. Might be me. I don't know. What screen are you talking through at the moment?
You are absolutely right. I'm still on the wrong screen. So let me just go to the right.
So the one I can see is your Business Central.
Great, thanks for pointing that out. I've been waffling on for ages. Okay, so let's do that again. So we're going to get the access key, and it's going to arrive, and it'll say, hopefully, it'll say all good. Close that, and we're good to go. So basically, what I've been talking about is these columns here in Postman. As we can see, the authorization section need to be completed using the data that I've just explained, including the callback URLs, this URL, and the client secret. Then we get the access token. So now we can create a command to allow us to access BC. And what we use is something called a get command in BC. There are numerous other commands, but we won't go down that road tonight, because all we need to do is, my job as a functional guy is, can I get access to this environment if I use this API and I hit the send button? Will it allow me to do that? And of course, it will come back with some information at the bottom here, which doesn't look like it'll make a lot of sense to somebody who's not technical. But the main thing you need to know is that your status is 200 and it's okay. If you get a 400 there, that means it hasn't worked. And what you will see down here is a list of companies in what they call JSON format. So you can see I have a company on BC called Cronus, one called GTV Music, and another one called My Company, and another one called The Village Bakery. Now, I need to show you to make sure that I'm not talking nonsense. So there we go, GTV music. And it's not going to come up, is it? It's very slow internet tonight. Oh, there we go, my settings. So from my settings, you can come down to BC and you can see that. Cronus, GTV, blah, 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 it's good. We've got all the companies. So the data is being returned correctly. And I can tick the box on my check sheet to say, right, all the companies, I can access all the companies. The next question is, can I access all of the customers? Of course, the URLs that you put in the GET clause are important. And if you want to know more about these URLs and how they are generated, I would like to suggest you to go to a website called PACT and get a book called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, and it's written by his name was in a second, but anyway, there's only one, and it's called Mastering Microsoft Dynamics, and it will explain a lot more about these URLs, and obviously it goes beyond the scope of this demonstration. But basically, when you send the GET command for this URL that will normally be given to you by a developer, and he'll say, okay, to test the customers, here's the URL, go away and test it on Postman for me, please. And you'll go away and you come back and you'll say, okay, that didn't work or did work, and I'm able to access BC, and here are my customers. To be sure, I can't scroll any more down than that, because then I'm going to get to Shopify customers and I can't show you that information. So, but you can believe me, this is correct. But I can show you Cronus customers. So you'll notice that the URL will be slightly different in that the company, this number here, is the number that was generated right up here. So if I'm looking for Cronus company, how do I access Cronus company? I will use this information and I'll put it into the URL, and it'll sit after the word companies, and away you go. So you'll send it off and you say, can you show me all of the customers that exist in Cronus? And here they are. So this is demonstration data. So I can scroll right down to the bottom and show you everything you need to know.
We've lost you again, Mike.
Oh.
We're still seeing where you had the mastering Microsoft, the book. So you're probably on another window.
Let's see. You see that?
No.
Huh?
I'm hoping it's not just me. Anyone else who's seeing?
I'll share my screen again.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do that. It might have dropped. Is that better?
It hasn't loaded for me. Can anybody else see?
Yeah, I can see the GitHub and the Postman. I can see Cronus customers Postman. So I think it might be.
Yeah.
I can see it as well.
Okay, cool. It might be an internet thing.
Oh, I can't see.
You can't see either. Oh no.
Yes. That's now it's all right.
I can see now.
You can. Okay.
Yeah.
It might be my Virgin Internet being naughty and not.
I guess there was an internet problem.
So I'll try and finish then as quickly as I can. So basically, is that all right? Okay, I'll carry on. So when you want to see something using Postman, the basic steps are, first of all, to go to Azure and do those steps that I showed you. Second, to come to Postman to complete the fields that require that information that you got from Azure. Then to set up the requests that your developer will give you this code or this URL that you need to use to actually access the information. So we can access music customers, and so if I want to look at all of the items that exist on a specific company, you can filter right down to that, and it will show you all of the items that exist. And it does come through in a jumble, but then Postman corrects it and makes it look pretty again. So we have it. Here's the Gibson Les Paul tribute guitar, and and so on. So all of the data is here, and I have this data. And if I was an external app, maybe I created a guitarist app, and you wanted to see all of these things that are available on for sale, then you can create your app, and the app will access BC, and the data will be available for your app. Of course, you won't be using Postman, you'll be using an API. But the whole purpose of this is to test the API that has been developed by the developer, and he'll give you this code. So it's not really important that you need to understand where this code came from. The developer guy is the guy that's going to tell you, okay, you need to do this and get it. This is not always the same like this. It varies depending on the installation, and if the customer is on-prem or whether they're a SaaS version. So there's a lot of other technical things that need to be taken into account. But generally, the process is to create what is called a request, which are these things here. You create the request, you get the URL from your developer, and you run away with it. And that's it. You get your data. So I've basically demonstrated the whole process from A to Z, from starting from this process and working your way all the way through. And it's a very interesting process, especially for somebody who is not a developer. I'm not a developer, although I can write code and things like that. So I have some kind of technical knowledge, but you also have to have the will to be able to want to do this. You've got to be able to learn a few little tricks along the way. So the final process is to test the access to the BC data, which we've now done. And in summary, integrating third-party connector apps will be with us for a little while to come. In the recent release of Business Central, which is going on right now in Milan, and they are talking a lot about API. Everything is API. So it won't do you any harm learning Postman. It's free. There is a payable, a cost if you want to go more than 3 users or something. But if you download the free version, which I have, it gives you tremendous insight into exactly how things connect. I know we are moving more and more towards Power Apps and Power Automate and all of these things. And all of these things work off APIs. So they all work off APIs that talk one system to another system. And for the time being, I think that this tool, even just having the knowledge of being able to test the integration between 2 environments, is a great skill to have. It's really given me a very good understanding of a little bit more. And you can not only test this with BC, you can test with Facebook, you can test with Instagram, you can test your APIs against Spotify, looking for good music, all those kinds of things. So it's not just restricted to BC, it's restricted as far as your imagination can go. And there are lots of articles which you can connect to from Postman itself, and they will they're amazing. They're amazing. You can integrate to telephone systems. So when your customer does something, you send them a text. All of these things. It's all about API, and this Postman is such a powerful tool and so simple to use, so easy to learn. I highly recommend that anybody, even if you're not a BC person, please go along, have a look at my, I beg your pardon, sorry, that caught me completely unawares. I do apologize. But, my name is Michael De Jager. If you need anything, there's my email. There's my blog, dynamics365global.net. Here are some nice links, and I will put them in a step-by-step guide and send them off to the powers that be at Meetup and share them with you. I'm more than happy to share that information with you. And I hope you found this, this demonstration interesting. And I do apologize for kind of like losing the plot halfway through, and I was talking about things and you couldn't see what I was talking about. But if you're not sure about anything, please, feel free to ask.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm not a technical person, but the way you took us through that, the way you explained step by step, I certainly felt like I learned a lot. And I can see that there is a hand. Trisha's got a hand up. I will also check the comments. Trisha, go on.
I think that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. I just want to say as well, like, especially for if you're not familiar with Postman and the fact that you can do it with BizApps as well, like not BizApps. Well, yes, BizApps. The same thing that you went through with regards to the app registration and everything is the same thing that we have to do in CRM as well. So it's in a way, it's kind of good to see that it doesn't matter which business application you're using, you have to kind of go through the same steps.
Yes,
and the other thing, the other thing I wanted to basically say as well, it's great because what you're able to do, because you can use Postman, is now create your own custom connectors in Power Automate, because that is a super simple way of creating it. So I use it all the time for testing and for quickly. That's actually how I created my Tinder connection. I got it working in Postman, and then I created the Power Automate connector.
Yeah, I like the testing part, the testing part as well. That is really good.
Yeah,
really empowering.
What happens a lot of the times in projects, you have to remember, is you're given an API, you're given a web service by like a third party or a separate another team, and they're saying it's working, and then you're implement and you don't know.
You don't.
So having a Postman collection really quickly just allows you to validate, test it, and quickly just say if it's working or not before you invest a lot of time in trying to implement it.
No, really, I really like that. I saw the CRM Ninja had their hands up.
No, okay. He's getting beer from the fridge.
I was looking if there's a way on Teams Mobile to put the applause up, because normally you put raise your hand, make a gesture, and then you have the option, and it's not showing on mine. That was all. So I did it again.
Yeah, no, God.
Cool. Oh, it's been lovely. Thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
No,
I hope you did too.
Yeah, pass the beer, please.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Coke.
Yeah.
It'll do.
Well, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much, Michael, for coming and sharing both very insightful elements that were discussed, and I'm really certain that all the people on this feel empowered and have learned something that they can take away. So we obviously didn't have anything with regards to the panel that got cancelled. As you can see, I'm probably on my own at the moment. But I did want to just give a few community updates. One on the Scottish Summit, which is it the 25th of February. Trisha can just jump in if I've got my dates wrong, but it's just there is a last push to get some speakers. So anyone, it could be budding or aspiring speakers, there is support that you get for new speakers. So please do reach out to the Scottish Summit team and make your contribution to the community as well. Speak on something. On a second point, I just want to call out that our last our session next month would be the last one for the year. So we will take a bit of a shutdown in December. And because obviously we normally have these at the end of the year, I'm not sure if anyone would want to join during that festive season. So we will have our next one post December and January. We still have one more, which is the November one. And for some reason, I think when I dropped off the call, I lost my presenter settings, so I'm not able to show, but I can tell you what we are looking to have in store for November, which is going to be on the 25th of November. We're looking at getting Joe Griffin to talk about project ops, scheduling, APIs. So again, it's something on APIs you don't want to miss. You know, project ops is a hot topic. So there's a lot of interesting stuff on that, so you wouldn't want to miss it. And secondly, we've got an end of year special. So I can't really spoil it and tell you what it is. You just have to attend that session to be able to see what that end of year special is. And I guess that officially puts us at the end of our session. Unless if, you know, people have got anything, or pass the beer, any other comments or anything from anyone.
No, just really thank you. I mean, I think it was a really good evening, and I learned quite a lot on both HR and Postman, because I didn't realize that Business Central had to do that too. So it's good to see. So thank you so much for organizing it, and to Anna and Michael and Tequila and you all.
Yeah, certainly a big round of applause to Michael and Anna. And everybody else for attending. Thank you so much. So we will see you next month. As I said, it's the 25th. We do have a nice big surprise for you, so you don't want to miss that. So see you then. Thanks, everyone. And don't remember to share, send your feedback. And if there's any topics you would like us to discuss, keep, you know, sharing and letting us know. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and if you're on a different time zone, day. Cheers. Thank you. Sorry, Tricia.